And now for something completely different.
Forget everything you've been told by others before. Get ready for the real deal. The full story. Real talk about money, markets, life. Now, it's The Real Investment Show, presented by RIA Advisors.
Well, it's finally Friday. What a long week.
Was it a long week?
I don't know. It felt like it was.
Man, I feel like days are flying by here
Well,
lately.
usually that's how it feels. I don't know.
Huh.
So, what a good week here. We've got Producer Price Index month over month for January coming out. So, as we've been saying on this Friday show, there is no rush to lower rates. Sticky price CPI year over year 4.6%. Trim mean CPI 4.9% change over the last 12 months. We have gone from transitory to permatory
Too stuck.
to suppository. Because this inflation is a pain in the donkey. Rich Rosso, Danny Ratliff, CFP squared. Be prepared today. I'm in an ornery mood.
Well, so Rich, you think about what's going on, right? Retail sales obviously revised down in December. Mm-hmm. This last one, a little bit more than anticipated. Is this due to seasonality? Because you think it would be the opposite. I mean, everybody keeps talking about it. It's like, is this an aberration? And usually you would think it would be the opposite direction. It would be much stronger than anticipated. Right. We wouldn't be revising numbers down, but be revising them up. Yet, core CPI relatively, really almost, double their target, 3.9%. Mm-hmm. You've got PPI this morning, which is the Fed's main inflation
we're going to
measure.
See where inflation is in the pipeline. I just think this is stubborn.
Yeah.
We've talked about this stubbornness of inflation because we are dealing, and I know the Fed doesn't care about this, but a bucket of inflation for things that you use every day that is not dissipating. The inflation is not disappearing. Insurance, food prices, rents. I understand. That's contractual. Rents can pull back. I get that. I personally don't think rents are going to fall that much. I think millennials are in the prime for buying homes or, moving out, whatever it is. I just think that rents are not going to fall here as dramatically. So I don't see rates going up, but I certainly don't see a rush to lower rates, which means the market has to just regauge. It has to look at the reality as opposed to the euphoric attitude it had and what it was looking at. And then obviously it bounced right back up. So as soon as those retail sales came in weaker than expected, right, we were off to the races again. So this morning, futures are pretty flat, waiting for these producer price index numbers. We have consumer confidence, consumer sentiment coming in, 79 expected. I'm surprised it's not like 29. 79. Why? Where are all you happy people? What are you doing?
But wouldn't you have thought that retail sales numbers, if they're weaker than expected, right? Follow me on this one. Okay. Weaker than expected retail sales.
Is this a conspiracy theory thing?
No conspiracy. Just thinking out loud here.
I'm following you.
But you have weaker retail sales. You also have, which would indicate there may be more pressure to cut in the future, right?
Which is why the market liked it, right?
But which is why you would think the rates would have declined instead of going up.
Right. That's what should have happened, right?
Yeah.
So the bond market's telling you something different.
Well, in the short term, right? Maybe it's thinking PPI is going to be more stubborn as well. And these day-to-day kind of movements are really difficult. And so you can't look too far into it because, trying to rationalize this sometimes.
It's crazy. Yeah. And in the short term, bond yields are going to do what they do, right? Obviously, we're going to be paying $1.1 trillion in debt service. It's going to be higher than the level of what we pay in defense. Wow. That's sort of scary.
Yeah.
That could keep yields higher, but longer term, yields will head back down because you just have the headwinds there to do it. I really do like Federal Reserve Bank President Raphael Bostick. I like a lot of his papers. He comes out with an Atlanta Fed weekly that I get, and I read through the stuff that he writes and his people write. It's very good. And he's talking about, listen, there's no need to cut rates because it's based on the labor market. Yes, we're seeing layoffs. Absolutely. But for the most part, the labor market is still strong on many metrics. Therefore, why do I need to cut rates? Inflation trend is heading to 2%. What I'm saying is it might take a lot longer to get to that level. Thus, why would I cut rates? I don't see this jump to do it. I don't see this excitement to do it unless there's something out there. Liquidity conditions are fine. So this stubbornness is something the market is going to have to digest.
I still think they cut rates this year.
Do you?
I do. And
I say they don't. We'll see. I say they don't cut them at all. Now,
you don't think at all?
No, I don't think they cut them at all. I don't think they cut them at all. I think there's still too much cash. Now, again, I'm like the lonely little girl crying in the corner, all by myself.
Yeah.
But I think they're talking about 2 rate cuts, right?
Well,
at least
initially it was 3 to 4.
Know,
now it's maybe 2. And here's the kicker: is that they will likely have to do something to try to execute this "quote unquote" soft landing.
Yeah.
So it may not be that there's just economic devastation and they're cutting rates substantially. And it also doesn't mean that yields won't fall on their own, because we have to remember the short end of the yield curve is where the Fed controls. Mm-hmm. The long end of it is going to be if we do start to see that stubbornness dissipate a tad bit and we see CPI, PPI start to decline even more, then we're going to see those yields for looking at long-term growth. Mm-hmm. Those longer-term yields will automatically begin to drop.
Yeah. Now, Bostick is very pragmatic. I think he's one of the more pragmatic kind of Fed representatives. And he says, hey, listen, we're thinking by third quarter, we're going to have at least first one cut, and that projected 2 cuts for 2024. Yeah. And that's the last quarterly set of economic projections by the Fed. So,
and I think
that's the
sense.
expectation. I don't know. I think people are still going to be out there spending. I don't see what slows it down. I still think labor markets are tight. So we'll see. We'll just see where this goes. It's just going to be very interesting to see how long it takes to get to the target. And not only that, over the last 3 years, the overall level of inflation is up close to 18%, and that's not going backwards. So even though the rate of change is getting to a target, you are still going to feel the pain. I got my auto insurance renewal yesterday. I'm like, what?
Oh, no. How bad was it?
20% higher.
It's not as bad as some of the ones I've seen.
I understand, but...
Yeah, no, that stinks.
I mean...
So what do you do? So what do you do when you do this? Because I've had that question. I've had that question twice this week. Like, hey, how do you shop insurance?
I have to say, I have a friend that works in insurance. He says, listen, you can try to get a better rate, but this is wholesale. These are wholesale increases across the board. Thus, are you okay with the service you're getting? If you're getting the service that you want from
hopefully you don't have to get any service.
Yeah, but when you need it, you want to make sure they're there.
Correct. But it does pay to shop. So we are in that environment.
It does pay
where
to look just
shop,
to even get an idea of what the environment looks like. Absolutely. It pays to shop. And he says, you do that, but you might be disappointed because it's across the board. Listen, we're going to talk about sometimes it doesn't pay to delay Social Security when we get back. Stay tuned.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Nothing sinks a marriage quicker than money issues. If the Valentine's Day glow has faded, promise you'll respect your lover's credit. Communicate about your money and share together our first Candid Coffee for 2024. 5 money habits of unhappy couples. Saturday, February 24th. Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff will have money tips to help revive your financial harmony. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com. realinvestmentadvice.com. 5 money habits of unhappy couples. Candid Coffee with Ratliff and Rosso. realinvestmentadvice.com.
When it comes to wealth management, most people think of stocks and bonds, but it's like enjoying one layer in a 7-layer cake. At RIA Advisors, we want to make sure you get your cake and eat it too. Social Security, Medicare, creating a tax-friendly retirement paycheck. Perhaps you're saving for college. How about life insurance, guaranteed income solutions, all along with comprehensive planning? At RIA, a holistic approach to your money is our priority. Call us today, 855-RIA-PLAN, or find us online at realinvestmentadvice.com. realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
Small businesses are discovering that attracting and retaining top talent come down to more than just salary. In today's highly competitive job market, compensation is more than just wages. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, RIA Advisors Retirement Plan Consultant. Healthcare and retirement plans can make the difference in hiring and retaining the best employees. We can show you how to build an affordable, effective employment package that delivers true value for your workers and your business. Call me toll free at 855-RIA-PLAN or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Bulls win in bull markets. Bears win in bear markets. Eagles soar above and take advantage of opportunity. Let us help you soar as you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
We're back. I think. So, we're going to have our next Candid Coffee coming out. And one of those things that we're going to talk about is this is the 5 money habits of unhappy couples, but we want to give you some constructive criticism on what to do. Guidance to make you happy couples. Now, you may feel that you and your spouse are doing a great job, and that's great. But what about your kids? Do you have adult children about to get married or looking to? What could they learn from this? So we hope you can tune in to February 24th, 8 o'clock, before you start your day next week. It's going to be good. Right, Danny? Because money habits, I think this is one of the most important Candid Coffees we're going to have. Because if you're all not on the same page financially, it could destroy your wealth. If you don't understand both of your money scripts, how you feel about debt, if you're not aligned, see, it's either you're going to sink the ship or it's going to be a synergy and send you to another wealth planet. There's nothing in between when couples don't agree or they have different money philosophies. If you have I have stay-at-home spouses that say, oh, well, he or she made all the money. No. If you weren't aligned together, you wouldn't have still done. In other words, your contributions, even though you were non-working, are still so important to the money philosophy of your household.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not the fact that it's not from a financial perspective that you contributed. It's from the fact that you forged together on this path to make these plans work, as opposed to one party working against you financially. And that is what we want to talk about. So disrespecting credit, keeping money secrets. I can't remember what it was, but how many couples sort of financially cheat on each other?
Oh,
financial infidelity.
It's through the roof. Financial infidelity is one of the leading causes of divorce. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is a big deal. And so if you're not completely aligned, this is really problematic. And I think that, the intent is to say, okay, how do we need to rethink this? Because so many people, like you just mentioned, Rich, they think that, okay, this person was in the workforce, the other one stayed home, raised a family, the kids, was a homemaker. And they don't view it, I think, the right way, because you can't attach a price tag to that. Trust me, I know.
No, think about you and Michelle are very much a money aligned. Think about if you had a spouse that always worked against you, put more on credit card debt, maybe came into the marriage with a lot of debt, did things behind. I mean, think about no matter how much money you make, you don't have a partner that's aligned.
Correct.
That can really destroy your wealth, and then again lead to possibly separation, divorce, and more money.
Yeah.
But for the most part, during the marriage, if you think about if you didn't have someone that was following your money alignment, even your children would suffer for that. I mean, the repercussions are dramatic.
Yeah, and it's passed on from generation to generation because it's not communicated well enough or at all sometimes. But that's the problem. I think that communication's the number one failure of this all is that if you don't communicate about this, how can you get it right? You don't have that plan. Many people just kind of say, I don't want to set that in place, but man, that could be a huge mistake.
Yes. It's so we hope you sit in on that. This is a very informal thing we do with Candid Coffee. We have lots of questions, and it's just like sitting with us at our kitchen table having breakfast. So an hour before you start your day, but those always really turn out well. So I just want to let everybody know that, hey, there's more to it than just the habits of unhappy couples, but we also have a whole set of ideas for you. And if not for you, for your kids or your grandkids. So when we do Social Security analysis, we always look at possibly delaying claiming. But there's a difference between delay to claim retirement benefits for Social Security or the optimal strategy for your situation. They could be very, very different. So the other day I had a couple. One spouse who didn't pay in as much as the other, higher earning spouse. And we looked at the numbers. And when I ran the numbers, it was actually best because she was younger, the non-working spouse, and she had some money in Social Security, to start to actually taking her benefit at age 62. Actually taking it early.
Really?
And him waiting till 70.
Okay.
Because of the cumulative amount of money between age 62 and when he was going to turn 70. The optimal strategy,
moving on to the benefit,
right,
yep.
Long term, the optimal strategy was not waiting.
As long as they weren't working, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So both had to be retired because if you did
Right.
have
No, these
earned
are both
income,
these are
benefits
both retired.
could be
Right.
withheld. Correct. So yeah, I just want to make sure that's really clear because I think there's a lot of people that decide, hey, I want to do exactly that.
Yeah, but
I'm
then
going to go ahead and start at 62.
they're still working full time.
Correct.
Right.
And then they have basically an earnings test where if you make too much, they start to withhold benefits from you, and you've locked in a permanent discount on that.
Absolutely. So there is going to be. So the whole goal is, it's sort of somewhat extreme. When you get Social Security advice, it's either you take it early because it's going away, or you have to wait till 70. Sometimes that works for single individuals or, even some married couples. But for the most part, you really have to understand how people have paid into it and how it's going to work the best.
Yeah.
So don't think that always that it's going to work. We have run numbers for people that have taken their full retirement age at 67, also based on lifestyle, life expectancy, right? And what I want to stress about Social Security, this is not a break-even game. Like, I got to live to age 83 to get all my money out. No, Social Security is a consumption asset. It's longevity risk insurance. So it's not even based on how long your parents lived. It's based on your current lifestyle and health at this point, and that of your spouse. How much that spouse has paid in? How much is that spouse younger, healthier than you? Did they make less than you, pay in less than you? Then your claiming strategy is going to be very, very important to the spouse you leave behind. Had a couple the other day. We're taking it to full retirement age because we looked at the numbers, and also this client still had and was planning to keep $1 million permanent life insurance policy. So I took that into account, Danny.
Okay.
I said, hey, okay, most people at their age are not going to have life insurance policies, but they want to keep the life. So if he passes and she's younger, spouse is going to get $1 million. So I'm like, okay, I could take that money and annuitize it.
Yep.
Right? I have this bucket of money she's going to get. So even though they're taking it at full retirement age, I usually don't have life insurance in the equation.
You have that. You have something to bridge the gap.
Yeah, I usually don't have something to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
But here I do. So I decided that when we looked at the numbers, it wasn't the most optimal strategy. But with the life insurance and with the annuitization of that over time, just estimating, we were fine.
Yeah.
So everybody's situation is different. You can't just say delaying always makes sense. You have to look at times when the claiming or the combination of claiming strategies gets you to ultimately the most money at the end of both lives. So let's have clients who need the money and they're not working. They're physically disabled. They take it at 62.
Yeah, you've got to sometimes.
I mean, sometimes you got to put food on the table. You're going to do it. It makes sense. No cash flow in my household.
Yeah, you've got to be careful with this because, some of these headlines are so definitive.
They are.
And I think they're looking for clickbait.
Yes.
You have to wait until 70. Or I see the opposite, right? Take Social Security as early as you can.
Take it now, right? Yeah.
And it is so different for each and every person and family. And so make sure you understand the ins and outs. Make sure that you're thinking about yourself and your spouse, if you're married, on what is the best way to do so. Because, there's a lot of money left on the table with emotional decisions.
Yep.
Versus how many times have you seen somebody say, well, I'm getting all I can out of it. I'm taking it right away. And you're like, well, that may not be the case. Maybe you want to delay. But like you said, maybe you just need to take it early. There's nothing wrong with that either.
What I find, couples that, one, have very active lifestyles. They have both maxed into the system. They have substantial IRA assets. Most of their money is pre-tax. They retire way before required minimum distribution age, say 73. Mm-hmm. Their claiming strategy to wait until age 70 makes a heck of a lot of sense. They both claim on their own records. And they're drawing down the IRA as a bridge strategy to pay their monthly expenses, so they're doing it before the government does, and maybe pushing up a little bit to the top end of the next bracket and converting some of that money to Roth. So what I noticed with two higher paying couples, people who maxed out the system and in good health, most of the time it pays for them to wait.
Yeah, but you said 73. For most people, I'm finding that a lot of people still don't know, right?
Well, let's talk about that on the other side of the bank, because you're right. A lot of people don't realize how the required minimum distribution ages are going to change for IRA withdrawals. We'll touch on that when we get back. Stay tuned.
Investment Advice blog. It's required reading for the informed investor. Catch it today at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Nothing sinks a marriage quicker than money issues. If the Valentine's Day glow has faded, promise you'll respect your lover's credit. Communicate about your money and share together our first Candid Coffee for 2024. 5 Money Habits of Unhappy Couples. Saturday, February 24th. Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff will have money tips to help revive your financial harmony. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com. 5 Money Habits of Unhappy Couples. Candid Coffee with Ratliff and Rosso. realinvestmentadvice.com.
Hi, Lance Roberts here. If you're like most people, your 401k plan represents the bulk of your retirement assets. And unfortunately for many, managing your 401k plan can be difficult. There's so many choices, so many things to consider. With just a quick email, a couple of questions, you can put RIA advisors to work for you managing your 401k plan. Just simply click Ask a Question at realinvestmentadvice.com or give us a call at 855-RIA-PLAN. That's realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Manage risk and volatility rather than trying to manage gains. You don't have to be right all the time. Long-term investing success is a 70% gain. Let us help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Can't catch the whole show now? Listen to our podcast later at realinvestmentadvice.com.
So my wife, is trying to get her house remodeled. It's been a standstill ever since late December. Like nothing's been done. So I've been emailing the contractor saying, hey, what's up? What's up? And he's not emailing me back.
The Real Investment Show podcast.
So I emailed him. I said, I would advise you to give me an update as to what's going on because I'm going to refer this to my wife and you don't want to know that. And he didn't respond to me. So
we don't get something
unleash
by
the
3 o'clock
Kraken
today if you're listening.
Same show, your schedule.
Guess what? We had a response by the afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
And everything is now back on track and will be completed on time by the deadline.
At realinvestmentadvice.com.
That's FAFO, man. Don't make me unleash my wife on you.
When it comes to wealth management, most people think of stocks and bonds, but it's like enjoying one layer in a 7-layer cake. At RIA Advisors, we want to make sure you get your cake and eat it too. Social Security, Medicare, creating a tax-friendly retirement paycheck. Perhaps you're saving for college. How about life insurance, guaranteed income solutions, all along with comprehensive planning? At RIA, a holistic approach to your money is our priority. Call us today, 855-RIA-PLAN, or find us online at realinvestmentadvice.com. Realinvestmentadvice.com.
Health and financial security touches everyone within your organization. Offering benefits for all doesn't need to be complicated. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, Senior Benefits Consultant at RIA Advisors. RIA Benefits provides independent expertise to find solutions that speak to the mission of your business, the culture you want to establish, and the budget you are able to work within. Book a free consultation with me at realinvestmentadvice.com/retirement, and we'll find a solution that takes care of your most important asset, your people. realinvestmentadvice.com/retirement, realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
Listen, everybody talking about AI and so in love with this whole AI narrative, and AI is really not that smart because think of the dummies putting the information in. Like AI still doesn't know how to use to, there, your. So AI was given a project. Put messages on candy hearts for Valentine's Day. You remember those? I never ate those. Brent's probably eaten enough hearts to. They never looked appetizing to me and I was a big candy freak. They didn't seem like I really wanted to eat those. They're not candy corn. Oh, look at Brent's got.
Brent actually
has a bag of candy hearts. Oh my goodness gracious! Well,
we have a whole desk full of.
I will tell you.
Oh, look at this! All right, I got a good one
see
here.
what kind of message I have on mine. Text me. Oh, you know what? Those are not bad, Brent.
I've got one that says goat. They've changed what they put on here. I don't ever remember.
Wow, you can really taste the chemicals. I feel like Dow Chemical made this. Lance, did your dad make candy hearts?
Oh, they were made right in the plant.
Do you want to hear some of the messages on these candy hearts that AI wrote?
They're probably not much better than these.
Actually, they are better. Candy hole. Mouthy hamster. T-Rex. No blinking. So be it. Okay, bro.
Okay, bro.
All hail the chicken. That's my favorite. I don't know who the chicken is. Woof, hoof, hoof. What the heck? Bath towels. Now, here's one I would have given to my ex. Biohazard. So, just when you think AI is so smart, it's really not. It's really not at all. My gosh, I love Brock's candy corn. That's the thing. These have a little bit of a, I really don't know what does it taste like to you?
I don't know. I
Tide
mean, literally
Pods?
can't
Tide
put my
Pod?
finger on it.
Do they have a Tide Pod flavor? How come this AI doesn't have a Tide Pod heart? I'm gonna get Danny a whole bunch of candy hearts next year with different messages on them.
These really aren't bad. It's 19.
They're not good though, Brent.
Serving size is 11 pieces.
Okay.
60 calories in a serving.
For 11
You
pieces.
eat a whole bag of
pieces,
those. You
yeah.
know what your heart's gonna say? Flying whale. Terrible. Those things are terrible. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about NUA. We have had stock.
Hold on. Before we go.
Oh, you want to talk about RMDs?
RMDs, yeah.
Go ahead. Let's talk about what RMDs are and why it's going to be so tricky as to why people are still thinking, people have in their head 70 and a half. But go ahead.
Yeah, so this has been something that's been a moving target for some time. And so RMDs, which you hear commonly referred to as required minimum distributions, are typically called RMDs, or depending on where you have your funds, I've even heard MRDs. But required minimum distributions is the technical term for this. This is typically when you reach 70 and a half, at least previously this was the number, that you would have to start beginning to wind down your IRAs or 401ks, tax-deferred types of investment accounts.
Right.
Now, Secure Act changed it to 72. Secure Act 2.0 changed it to 73 that just went into effect this year.
Yes.
Now, there will be another change, but wait for it. It will be in 2033 when they'll change it to 75.
Don't ask me why they kept graduating this. It's such a confusing thing, but go ahead.
No, it is. And so, that's one thing that I think we're getting a lot of questions on, like, hey, do I have to take my RMD
I got
this
one
year?
yesterday.
Yeah, like
hey, I just
71.
turned 71. No.
Yeah. And so this hasn't been talked about enough. And so just want to make you guys aware that you do have a little bit longer. So the good news here, though, is that this could be a good time to do what Rich was talking about earlier, is maybe start drawing down those accounts. Look at doing Roth conversions if you can do so. There are some great benefits on this delay. Now, for many people, Rich, I mean, let's face it, what's the real impact to the majority of America? Probably not much, because they're using these funds anyways to live on. But something to consider. Now, if you pass away and your spouse inherits it, then your spouse is going to be able to pick these funds up just like they're their own, right? They don't skip a beat. But if a non-spousal beneficiary inherits these funds, they used to do what we would call a stretch-IRA. And so meaning they could take these funds over their lifetime.
Yeah, so
now,
if your child was, say your daughter or your son is on your IRA, and say they're 20 years old and you pass away, they would have been able to take that money out over their life expectancy. So the distributions would have been minimal.
yeah.
And that IRA would have gone on, we used to call it the stretch-IRA. Now I don't know what you call it, but it's not stretch.
No, well, now they give you a 10-year window that you have to completely deplete the account. So it needs to be fully liquidated. And they've been giving some reprieve on required minimum distributions within this over the last several years. Now they're talking about, you're going to be required to start taking that distribution each and every year. And then by year 10, to have that account fully liquidated. And so be aware of this. The custodian should be calculating the required minimum distribution for you. That goes for, all of these types of scenarios. But make sure that you don't overlook those things.
So one client yesterday
Yeah.
said to me the same thing. Oh my gosh, I'm 71 and I need to take my RMD. I said, yeah, you do. So I said, oh wait, I'm not. I'm just lying to you. You don't have to. But in your mind, you should. In other words, you should be looking to drain surgically that pre-tax account
Yeah.
before the government has you do it. If primarily when all your money is in pre-tax. You know, where you are, talk to your tax advisor. We have until the end of 2025, the 22 and 24% marginal brackets are going to squeeze closer. They're so wide, they're so expansive that you can effectively stay within your tax bracket and move some money out of your IRA and start draining that account. Because we talk about diversification of accounts. In other words, when I retire and I want to create a retirement paycheck and I want to buy certain things, and I go to this one sole account that I have that's all pre-tax, everything I do is taxed as ordinary income. Everything I do will tax my Social Security. Almost everything I do might push me into IRMA on our Medicare-based premiums, which means a higher cost for our health care. So start looking at pulling some money out. You could put it into Roth. You could put it into brokerage. Well, I've had some clients, Danny, when we do their goals, some that are coming up over the next few years and the way the market's done, we have taken those distributions from their IRA and we have moved them to online savings accounts, earning about 4.5%. In other words, we bucketed the goals. We said you wanted to buy the car in 2 years. We took the money from the IRA and we bucketed it. Mm-hmm. We know now that goal is satisfied. They have the money to buy the car when they need it. And, so we had to front run some goals because of how the performance has been for them. The other issue that you're going to have, and this is when we want to talk about net unrealized appreciation, where you can withdraw money from your 401k in a lump sum and have its appreciation taxed as long-term capital gains rather than ordinary income. So this is really important for people who have company stock. We do this quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
So this is some help from Ed Slott. Ed Slott is a tax specialist. You are seeing more layoffs. We've seen this. 260,000 tech employees let go. That's layoffs.fyi. Google, Amazon, Microsoft. Citi's going to remove 20,000 jobs. I think, was it Morgan Stanley? Well, they're going to fire hundreds from their wealth management division. There's one financial services firm. We always said that this would be a white collar layoff when it happened, and that's exactly what's happening. So people would say, I want to roll my money now. I want to roll it from my 401k. Move it into an IRA. But what if I have company stock? What if I own XYZ company stock and I bought it in my plan and I paid my average cost basis is $10 a share. Mm-hmm. And now it's $200 a share. What should I do? Well, first I got to look at my intention for that stock. Do I really just maybe want to sell it and diversify? Do I want to hold some of it long term? But this increasing stock value on company stock held in 401k plans presents this opportunity for you to pull some of the money out, pull the stock out actually, and move it into an after-tax account. And we're going to talk about that when we get back. Stay tuned.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Nothing sinks a marriage quicker than money issues. If the Valentine's Day glow has faded, promise you'll respect your lover's credit. Communicate about your money and share together our first Candid Coffee for 2024. 5 money habits of unhappy couples. Saturday, February 24th. Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff will have money tips to help revive your financial harmony. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com. 5 money habits of unhappy couples. Candid Coffee with Ratliff and Rosso. Realinvestmentadvice.com.
Small businesses are now being challenged by the lack of employees and how to attract and recruit the best employees. To get the better employee, you'll have to offer a better package. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, RIA Advisors Retirement Plan Consultant. Don't assume a 401k plan is too costly or complicated for your small business to offer. Let us show you how to make the most of an affordable and effective plan that will deliver true value for your business and your employees. Call me toll-free at 855-RIA-PLAN or online at realinvestmentadvice.com. That's realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
When it comes to wealth management, most people think of stocks and bonds, but it's like enjoying one layer in a 7-layer cake. At RIA Advisors, we want to make sure you get your cake and eat it too. Social Security, Medicare, creating a tax-friendly retirement paycheck. Perhaps you're saving for college. How about life insurance, guaranteed income solutions, all along with comprehensive planning? At RIA, a holistic approach to your money is our priority. Call us today, 855-RIA-PLAN, or find us online at realinvestmentadvice.com. realinvestmentadvice.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. A passive investment portfolio requires active risk management. It's not a choice, it's necessity. Diversification doesn't protect against risk of loss. Let us actively help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
And welcome back. Before we get into NUA, and I'm sure many people who probably listen to the show have done this, or with the help of a financial advisor and a great tax specialist, you also have to have a really good benefits custodian who understands the rules of NUA. And again, that's where you have really company stock, highly appreciated company stock in your tax-deferred account. And that is going to be an issue for many individuals since the fourth quarter of last year. But overall, you might be in a career for 20 years. And all of a sudden you go, my gosh. I mean, some of the clients that I work with Exxon stock, the cost basis is absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a plan that we deal with often where, NUA is something that they actually do a really good job with. So they're really experts
at that strategy. And
well,
their benefits.
It is, and because you can break down each individual lot, and then you can determine, okay, where's your break-even point, especially if you have after-tax funds that it will pay for the taxes essentially. And so there's a little bit of, you've got to finesse these things, and so there's a lot of moving parts with it.
Yes.
So understanding the taxation, understanding how that all works, can be extremely beneficial. And, at the end of the day, it's really about how do you keep more money in your pocket?
Right. You have to look at, first of all, you have to have a triggering event, a layoff, retirement, separation from service, right? Reaching age 59 and a half, disability, whatever it is. There's got to be a triggering event, and then how you take it is important.
You have to do it all at once.
You have to do it all at once in the one calendar year. So when you take the, so what I want to explain, it's like taking Brent's bag of chemical hearts, candy hearts, and instead of taking that and putting them into the trash, you keep one aside. Because I'm extracting from the bag the NUA heart. I mean, I'll put that stock in a brokerage. The unfortunate part is I'm going to pay ordinary income tax on that distribution, but at cost basis. So think about if I have 1,000 shares of Exxon at $2 a share, and I want to, now it's what, 100 and whatever, right? I'm going to be taxed at $1,000 shares at $2 as ordinary income. Hurts a little. But now I've got this asset in brokerage that could be, when I make a sale, taxed as long-term capital gain, and long-term capital gain rates are taxed at a lower rate, generally speaking, than ordinary income. So that's very smart. Now, what we do usually have, clients do, if they have the triggering event and they do have highly appreciated assets in the company stock, we can identify. I did one the other 2 weeks ago, Danny, where we took some of the shares. We took and we worked
typically take the very low cost basis
most
shares.
lowest basis shares, and we extracted those. You don't have to move all of them, but I think we took about a quarter of those, and we moved those to brokerage. We left the rest in the IRA because we are looking to diversify away from the position.
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to make sure is, and I don't think Ed Slott put this in the article, but I want to know your intentions for the money that you're putting, the stock you're putting in the brokerage. For many people, they say, listen, I would like to hold my Exxon for a long period of time. It's got a good dividend. I like the management. And just use any stock as an example, right? You could have been in Hewlett Packard, whatever, HPQ, whatever it is. Okay, great. And I want to keep a piece of this for at least 10 years. Okay, but I have too much. Well, guess what we did? We sold the Exxon shares inside the IRA and diversified it, kept the Exxon shares outside. So this is with the market the way it's been, imagine if you own you were like a shareholder, you were like a NVIDIA or like semiconductor company or Microsoft, right? I bet these guys got to be like, they leave, that NUA has got to be going on all day, because when Ballmer was in, it was like having a clown in. I mean, the stock was dead, right?
Yeah, what a difference.
I was going to say something, but I won't. But yeah, I mean, just ridiculous. Okay. What a major move. So think about if you worked at Microsoft, besides all the stock options and everything else from a tax perspective, I'm isolating this event. What NUA opportunities you would have in some of these tech stocks. Amazing.
Yeah, well, I think this is for everybody that does own stock inside of their retirement plan. Just be aware that you do have these options out there.
In other words, just don't think that you should roll it all with company stock into another IRA.
That's right.
There's another move you can make that might be more tax advantageous for you.
And sometimes it's not as cut and dry, and it's not as
we're making it cut and dry here. Just
well,
as simple as
but like some plans, like you mentioned, Exxon, they do a really good job of showing you each deposit when it was made, each time that you purchased it, so you understand all of it, right?
That's great.
Where some of them, it's almost like a fund. They just aggregate the numbers,
and
say, okay, here's your average cost basis, and then you kind of have to work from there. So you don't have as much flexibility, but it still can be beneficial. And so don't overlook that. I think that's really important. One other thing, Rich, is that if people are going to retire, or let's say you're laid off and you're under 59 and a half, you may not want to just roll those funds over, because you may be able to take that distribution out of the 401k if you need funds to live on. So
in other words, if I need to set a retirement paycheck at 59 and a half, I may not want to roll that.
Correct.
Why is that?
Well, because if you need funds, you can take the funds out. Not always, but most of the time, if you're over 50 or 55, depending on your plan, they allow you to take distributions without having to pay that 10% penalty.
Right.
So it may not be in your best benefit prior to doing so to roll everything over. Now, maybe you roll a portion. You say, these are going to be the funds I'm going to live on. I'm going to leave these here because you want more flexibility with your investment options. You want to be able to manage it differently than what the 401k allows. That's okay, but make sure you kind of section off the amount that you're going to need to live on and keep it in that account.
There are rules where you can roll it over. Say you're 55 and you want to roll it over, but they're a pain in the
they don't give you as much
flexibility. To avoid the 10% penalty, you don't have the same flexibility. So we generally suggest that you keep your plan there until you're at least 59 and a half.
That rule that Rich is talking about, Section 72T.
Yes.
So you would have to take equally and substantial like-kind distributions for a period of 5 years or up until 59 and a half.
Right.
And you can't deviate from that.
No.
So you've
No
got to be very, very
flexibility.
careful. There's not much flexibility.
Because you might be taking out more money than you actually need, as opposed, and you lose that flexibility to take what you need and maybe stop. So I totally agree. But we had a great question on. You want to talk? As we're running out of time here, you want to go? You want to go through that question?
Yeah. This is a good one. Let's see here. So, question was on the YouTube channel. So, if you're not on the YouTube channel, go to the Real Investment Show. Go hit subscribe, hit the like button. If you're watching, hit like. We appreciate you guys viewing and hanging out with us a bit. So it says, is taking out a 401k to your checking account, then putting that into a Roth, the same thing as a Roth conversion?
Yes and no.
Yes and no, right? So a couple things. Is that you're taking out just like a regular distribution?
Let's use a number. So say you want to take $25,000, Danny. I want to take $25,000 out of my IRA, and I want to move it to Roth. What's my problem?
Well, the problem is if you take those funds out of the IRA or 401k, put them into your checking account. Number one, if you want to contribute to that Roth, you're going to need, one, earned income. Number two, you're going to need to be under that income limit for contributions for a Roth. And you're only going to be limited to a smaller amount. So you're going to be able to put $7,000 in this year.
Correct.
To that Roth IRA. So you would not be able to roll that full amount or convert that full amount. The better way would be to go directly from the 401k, or usually you're going to put it into the IRA and then do a conversion where you move the funds, move that 25 directly from the traditional IRA to the Roth IRA. And then ideally, we prefer you pay taxes out of pocket because you want those funds to go further. Now we get specialized tax treatment on these Roth funds. So we want to hold those for a long period of time, let those continue to grow. And once we reach, Medicare age, we don't have to worry about distributions that will impact your premiums. We don't have to worry about Social Security taxation. We don't have to worry about taxes. And if you're like us and think that, hey, this government is out of control with spending money, then, what are they going to do? They're likely going to raise taxes at some point. So this gives you more tax flexibility further down the road.
It does. And to Danny's point, if I'm going to pull $20,000 out of my IRA to Roth, I don't want to withhold taxes. So say I'm 53 years old and I want to move that 20 and I withhold taxes from that. First of all, I don't have all the money working for me. I have less.
Yep, that's right.
All right. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but wouldn't that be subject to a distribution penalty?
What's that?
On that distribution for that tax? No, not on the taxes.
If you're younger than 59 and a half, yeah.
Yeah. So, in other words, you want to make sure there's money from an outside source to pay the taxes on that move of the money from IRA to Roth. But it's something to absolutely consider because at the end of 2025, these tax brackets are going to change. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, I cannot imagine, with $1.1 trillion in debt service coming up for us, that taxes are not going to go higher, and that Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is going to sunset. Well, that's all we got. Holiday Monday, we might be playing the best of, but Lance will see you here on Tuesday. You all take care. Have a great weekend.